What's going on, everybody? What's going on? It's Lawrence Henderson, the boss, back in the house. I know it's been a minute, y'all. I know. Don't blame it on my head, not my heart. But we're back with another Hot Takes episode where we are always seeking to lead with humility, openness, and transparency. And so, y'all, I got a treat for y'all today. I got Mrs. Strength Finders herself, strengths coach, dope facilitator, training and development professional. And I like to say my sister from another mister. What is going on, Coach Kaleitha?
Hi, happy day. It is another great week coming to an end. Been busy, but good busy. So working things out and moving forward, and that's what we like to do. Just keep moving forward
I love it.
and
I love
having
it.
a good time.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, y'all. Not only is Kalitha an amazing coach who really leans in and client faces extremely well, but she's an even better person. And so I tell you, one of the most authentic leaders I've ever met in my career. And so I'm so excited to have this conversation with you today.
Thank you. Thank you. Likewise, Lawrence and I hit it off from day one
Mhm.
and have been moving in step ever since. What, 4 years now? 5 years even?
Yeah, yeah. Serving
Before
on board.
pandemic.
Yeah, before the pandemic. So yeah, we didn't meet during the pandemic. We serving on the board of Intraplay HR Atlanta, and just man, just alignment, y'all. When you're in alignment with other coaches, trainers, speakers, it's a beautiful thing. And before we jump into coaching skills for managers, one of the things I love to ask practitioners in the space of coaching and leadership, like Kalitha, why was this something you personally wanted to lean into?
Right. So for me, starting off with my business, Noetic Talent Consulting, I chose the words noetic because it is about intellectual activity, mental activity, going above and beyond just the mundane day to day, but really taking time to think about, to connect, to understand and explore what's really going on with yourself as you then move into exploring and understanding what's going on with others. So it brings a level of personal discovery and inner wisdom that allows you to then, when working with Noetic Talent Consulting, it allows you to use what you do best to get what you most want. When you understand self and you have that self awareness, you're able to use your inner strengths, your inner wisdom, your that mental those mental exercises that you've been going through, you're able to really put them in practice and coming from a place of knowledge and moving into excellence, right? So when I think about using what you do best to get what you most want, when you think about there's a lot of work and resources out there for young professionals, entry level professionals. You can look and see that there are a lot of resources for executive professionals, but that middle manager needs to be there's some room for improvement, there's some room for growth, there's some room to kind of get some things out there to help middle managers do better, to do what they do best, right? And so for me, when I think about new managers, new supervisors, those who are good at those technical skills, maybe they're good at their job and they've been noticed. So someone said, we're gonna go ahead and promote you, and now you're in charge of these 10 people. Crickets, right? Because okay, now I do what I've been doing what I do, and I'm not supposed to really do that anymore. I'm supposed to motivate people. I'm supposed to have these difficult conversations. I'm supposed to gain their trust, right? They don't know you. Maybe you were friends, but you can't be friends like you were when you were doing the same or a similar job. Now you got to hold these people accountable. And a lot of new managers and even upper middle management managers, they're in a place where they're kind of stuck and they haven't been properly trained
Mhm.
and they don't quite know what to do next. So Noetic Talent Consulting comes in to help them figure all of that out.
Yeah, yeah, and Khalid, it's funny as you were telling that story, and it resonates with me because as a transitioning service member and dealing with headhunter agencies, as an individual contributor. And because of where I was exiting the military from, I was in that middle zone. I was in that gray zone, and headhunters wouldn't even actually touch me. They
Hmm.
like, I don't know how to support you because you're
Yes.
not young enough and you're not senior enough. You're kind
Hmm.
of in this, and I remember one headhunter, they called it the gray zone, and that's not really where we place people from.
Yeah.
And I mean, just to be discouraged there, and I know in some of the leaders I've worked with in organizations that are in that frontline leader, middle management, and even that upper kind of right before they get senior leader,
Hmm.
not having the support from a
Right.
development standpoint to make that transition to be that
Yep.
people leader that is able to inspire, encourage, and go
Right.
after the things that they desire. So they default to technical ability. And so
Yeah.
when you think about developing those coaching skills for managers, what
Hmm.
is a what is a tactic and a technique that you use to lay the groundwork before you really dig into the work?
Right. So let me take a step back and say, when it comes to that gray zone, recruiters specifically, but a lot of people, leadership, management, higher level, etc., they really want you to make it easy for them. They want to plug and play because a lot of people don't have the time to either develop you or to figure you out, or they just want to put you and do with you what they've always done because it's easy. So taking it back to the workplace, you have leaders who say, okay, you do what you do well, now we want you to manage people. I think the first thing that new managers need to think about is, what are the tools in my toolkit? Right. And so for me, people who know me know that I am the strengths girl, the strengths woman, right? And so, but what strengths is based on is self-awareness, and it's also based on positive psychology, and based on, I can do this, I have everything in me that I need to do this, and it's really about honing your talents, right? And so when I think about new managers and any manager leading and coaching their staff, again, what do you want to get out of this, right? So if I say, if I'm a staff member and I say, I'm having a problem getting this done, I'm having a problem finishing or closing this project, that new manager can hone in on what I call a teachable moment that we've turned into coaching moments, right? So instead of just saying, oh, well, here's the deadline, let me know if you need me, or go forth and prosper, that manager can take the time to ask powerful questions, changing it from go get it done, I'm with you, rah, 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 to let's really break this down and talk about what the issue truly is. Let's talk about um, why you're having this problem, in terms of, this is my reality and this is where I want to be, and how can we fill in the gaps, right? And so now that I'm asking you questions as a manager, then I'm really getting more insight into who you are,
Yeah.
where you are, what you've been doing, what are you doing well, what have you been struggling with, what do you need from me, do you need more time, and finding ways to figure out, how do we manage that time, how do we steal more time from other places, right? Because
Mhm.
sometimes you gotta borrow and beg before you can get into a good group, right?
Yeah.
But that manager using those coaching skills are putting in a bunch of time and energy into getting to know not just the problem, but getting to know the person,
Yeah.
right? So all of you new managers that haven't taken the time out to get to know your people, you're at a disadvantage. Let's
Yeah.
figure out how to fill in that gap.
Yeah. And I think, and y'all, thank y'all for joining us today. If you're just jumping in here, I am with the amazing Coach Kaleitha Johnson, talking about coaching skills for managers, how managers can engage with and develop their people. And when I think about just myself as an individual contributor, and not even when I was leading others, there is this tendency, and you brought up this pesky word, that I don't have enough time to develop. The work has to get done. What what is it costing organizations and leaders when they don't invest in the development of the skill set of
Hmm.
coaching or even understanding how to use the other tools in your toolkit,
Right.
what is it costing an organization when those things go undeveloped?
Right. So, yeah, it's hard to say, or it's easy to say, I don't have time to develop. I got to get these day to day, weekly, monthly things done. However, if you don't take the time to develop, you're going to lose a lot of stuff on the back end, right? So, we're talking about relationships and trust. We're talking about engagement. We're talking about productivity. Staff members who are engaged are more productive. Coaches or supervisors who coach have better relationships with their staff. Staff are more loyal, staff are more engaged, staff feel like you care about them, and so they stay longer. So they're more loyal in that way, right? And so if you don't have time or you don't put in the time to coach and do all the things that go with that, not only do you not really know what's going on with your people, but your people don't trust and believe in you, and they're ready to skip town, right? And
Yeah,
we know that the younger the professional, the quicker they'll leave.
yeah,
We're not doing this stick with a company for 20 and 30 years and wait on that pension. We're not doing that anymore, right?
yeah,
Young people want to know that you care about them and that you are investing in them. So when we talk about young managers, let's say we're talking about that 25 to 40 demographic. That 25 to 40 demographic is Gen Z and millennials, and they are looking for people and organizations who care about what they care about, who care about them, and are willing to invest in them. And you either help them grow or watch them go. We
yeah.
know that.
I love that. I love that. And help them grow or watch them go. Y'all, that's tweetable moment right there. Y'all better catch it. Y'all better catch it. But and one of the connection points there for me, Kalitha, is really this idea of you what it's costing you are those intangibles that you
Mhm,
need to
mhm,
actually engage and be high performing teams. That trust, that confidence. And here's this old phrase, and this is the funny part about the
mhm.
reality of the world we live in today, Kalitha. Are you now seeing these old phrases of people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care? We used to
Right,
say that at these little quiz,
right.
and now we really are experiencing it
Mhm,
as an operational practice. Like we got articles about it. The quiet quitting, the
right,
great resignation.
right.
All these things are now realities that actually have data behind
Mhm,
them now. And so
mhm.
when you get into an organization and they're hard up, they have a need. They say, Kalitha, help, help. We do that. How do you get them to go from being extreme in their need and keeping it from being performative, but thinking about coaching as an enhancement and sustainability strategy? How do you get them to
Right.
make that switch?
Right. I think it's a part of it's culture change, right? It's not just, oh, coaching one and done. It's not just strengths one and done. It's from the top down, going to those that leader, the leadership suite, the leadership team, the management team, and saying, look, we know that the bottom line is important, but let's talk about how the things that we can control about the bottom line. Keeping our people where they are, because turnover costs money. That affects your bottom line. Hiring new people, getting them trained and up to speed affects your bottom line. So if you think about how do we include coaching into our new management training, how do we make sure that new managers and middle managers are thinking about coaching first? Every situation is not going to be fixed by coaching, but a lot of situations can be avoided by starting off coaching. So helping managers and leadership team understand that this is gonna alleviate a lot of your typical issues. And again, talking about the young people, these are the things that young people are looking for and asking for. We know that Gen Z and millennials are a lot more activists than we were. Gen X, they're more activists than we were growing up. Yeah, we did our thing, and of course we can march, we can show up. We have been, but these younger folks are looking for that from day one. They don't want to get caught off guard and say, "Oh, I didn't know that you thought that." They're asking you in the interviews, "What about my wellness? What about my engagement? What about my development? What are you going to do for me?" Right? And so new managers and ex-seasoned managers need to be able to talk to new recruits, new new employees about how they're going to invest in them and how the culture is really pulled by development and engagement, etc.
Yeah, so here's the funny part, y'all. So me and Kalitha, and again, before we even aligned, we knew we were aligned. So she has been in the collegiate higher education space for quite some time now,
Long
and
time.
and then I'm over at Morehouse College, and what what you're literally describing about our workforce, our current and future workforce, is happening real time. And the other day I was in class and was talking to my students about, again, in my leadership and professional development class, and asking them, how are you going to feel seen, feel heard in the workplace, and do it in an assertive professional manner? And it starts at the interview. And one of them shared with me that during their interview, because of our class and because of, okay, how do you ask professionally, what in organizations, okay, how will it be here, what's the environment? And one of the students asked a recruiter during the interview, what are the company's core values? And 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 literally, he was like, he was waiting for the response. They couldn't say the companies, but they did get their personal ones out,
Okay.
and he took note of that. And so now, like, and to your point, Khalid, is like, they, it ain't just that they desire these things. No, they want it to be active in your life. They want proof of purchase. You're interviewing me, but I'm interviewing you too, to see if this
Right.
is a place for me. And in particular, the things that you focus on is this ability for managers to engage and develop. And so why is there, it's a and, not a
Yes.
engage or develop? Why is it an and there?
It's absolutely an and because they go hand in hand, right? If I don't feel engaged in the department or the company, I may not take advantage of those things that are off in the cut. Like, oh, there's money for development. I didn't know because I didn't ask and my manager didn't tell me. I'm not engaged enough. I don't feel like they care enough to tell me. No one said anything, right? And so that even goes back to um, supervisors knowing, not only knowing their staff, those managers being in tune to their staff, being able to see, I see a growth opportunity in you. I'm going to create a stretch assignment for you, right? I get you to the point that I'm rooting for you and I'm going to help you get to that next level, whatever that is, whether that's a promotion in this department, whether that's moving on to another department, or whether that's either, leaving the field but doing something that you love, but you got to be engaged to know what that staff member wants. And that staff member needs to feel engaged to know that you care. And that development is always going to be there and there's no threat. That's one of the big things as well. New managers and supervisors and middle managers feeling threatened by their staff. But if you work on trust and you work on that relationship and you work on what's next, all of that goes out the window because I know me. I'm aware enough to know my strengths and what I do well. And I care enough to help you figure out your strengths and what you do well so you can get what you want.
Yeah, it's funny that you just shouted out what this podcast is called. It's called Hot Takes, humble, open, and transparent. You get, when you get out your ego, you're
Yep.
actually able to hold space, and you actually lean into
Yep.
developing and engaging in meaningful ways. Because here's the deal. One of the things I used to say when I was in charge of my people, like, I had the mindset of, I want y'all to replace me. I wasn't a single point of failure or island of excellence. Now, was I raised that way to believe that I leader? Like, yes, I was in those spaces where I wasn't allowed not to know. And so oftentimes inside of organizations, there's been this stigma that as the leader, you got to know how to do everything. And for me, now you have organizations who are having issues with succession, and because nobody except the leader knows what to do. And I was with one organization, and they called it the hit by the bus scenario. Be like,
Oh,
if somebody got hit by a bus today, who is able to take
we
over
do
their
say
work,
that.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, and you don't think about it, and that's extreme. But think about it. If just life, y'all, over the last several years, we've been thinking life been lifing,
Right.
and people just out. And so, when you think about just from an HR perspective, from a leader perspective, why is it important to begin training and engaging when it's not an emergency? Why is that important to actually have that as a strategy?
Right. Well, you kind of you mentioned it, the succession planning, right? And the loss or the putting that knowledge in a vault. It does no good in a vault. Organizations don't succeed because of what people know, they succeed because of what people do. So if you're holding on to that information or you're clinging to it and not sharing it, that's from a place of fear. That's from a place of not having enough or feeling like you don't know enough or you don't deserve, right, that to do better or to lead this organization. So when you talk about succession planning, making sure that you're each one teach one. I'm going to give you what I know because I know that there's more for me. I'm not going to be here forever. If I don't tell you what I know, I'm stuck here. You may be in a cute place, but you can't move because nobody knows what you do. So we're going to just leave you there as opposed to giving you your blessing, helping you move forward, helping you move up, right? Because there's someone coming in behind you to take your place and to do well. We got people in the world today that haven't retired, that need to retire because they don't have a succession plan in place. Who's going to replace this guru, right?
Uh, what's funny, as you were saying that, I got the old sitcom Cheers in my head, and it was like, and I think there would become this fascination and this love affair with going to a place where everybody knows my name.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I got the stigma of, I'm the go-to person for this, that,
Yeah,
and the other, and we
yeah.
glorified these things.
Mm-hmm.
But now that our workforce is aging, and we
Right.
have all these generations in the workforce, like, y'all, what is the legacy you're going to leave now? Right?
Yes.
The legacy is not just some figment of our imaginations. Like, now we really have to actually plan
Yep.
around what are the legacy things that we're actually going to pass along so that somebody can be innovative, creative, all the rest of the things that are posters on our wall.
Yep.
But what are we actually practicing when it comes to that stuff? And so, y'all, we talking to Kaleitha Johnson, Coach Kaleitha is in the house, y'all. And so when you think about just what you're working on these days, what has you excited about the world of coaching?
The world of coaching is it's growing, but it's getting more intense and more practical at the same time, right? And so when I say coaching skills, that's intentional. Everybody can't be a coach. There's skills and there's levels to this. And I am so excited to be able to say, I am working to get stronger and stronger, to get more skills. And I am more than happy to pass on what I've learned, what I'm continuing to learn, and how I'm growing, not just in the coaching field, but in my practice. I am excited about young people. I'm excited about helping them get what they need. I'm excited about helping organizations change their culture because the old ways are not working anymore. They're just not. And there are people our age. I'll say our Gen Xers. I'm gonna own that. But we got these Gen Zs and millennials that aren't putting up with some of the stuff we put up and some of the stuff that the boomers put up with, right? So I'm not necessarily a generational coach. I'm not just focusing on generations in that way. However, we have to realize that our cultures have to move into the new century. Our cultures and the way we do work have to keep up with the times because it's going to be better for everybody. When I interview folks for jobs at my day job, a lot of them are asking about development and they're asking about wellness. If we're not paying attention to them and we're not making sure that they know that we are going to help you and we recognize that wellness is important, they don't want to be bothered with us. They don't want to be bothered with our company. So I'm really excited about being innovative and moving to the next level when it comes to what are organizations doing, using coaching and strengths and employee development to do it, and getting to the next phase of work life.
Yeah, and I think the most amazing thing and the part that you're talking about is coaching being that bridge, right? And it's that upskilling when it comes to how you engage, how you develop. Because I think, and as I've been hearing you describe what you do and how you do, there's also an element of empowerment that I'm hearing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
So if somebody was going to reach out to you, who's your ideal client type,
Yeah.
and where are they?
My ideal client is a new manager, middle manager, someone who's been supervising folks, who's been trying to make a difference in their company, who's ready for a career breakthrough. They don't have to be 25, and they don't even have to be 45. They could be above and beyond those ages, but that middle gray area that you spoke about earlier, just new managers who wanna get it and who are ready. Um, noetictalentconsulting.net is where you can find me. You can also find me on LinkedIn. So, my all that in the chat and all that showing up there. But
Mm.
if you go to my website and you will have a resource for those of you who go to the website, and we can talk about it a little bit later. Just give me your information and we'll move to the next phase. Because like I said, everybody's not meant to coach, but there are skills that anyone can pick up and say, okay, I'm going to use these few skills, like asking powerful questions, for example,
Yeah.
to make sure that we can move to the next level in the workplace.
Yeah. And there's also one thing, Kaleitha didn't say it, but I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there for her. Kaleitha did a masterful job leading in AAA HR Atlanta. We had a board retreat at the beginning of this year where we were folding in new members, seasoned board members, and through walking us through strengths and how that impacts us as a communication tool, knowing how someone is showing up in their strengths and how to engage them well.
Yeah,
That is evidence, and those are tools that we should be using across any organization. And again, I use the word tool intentionally because that's what these are. And so if you aren't getting yourself upskilled with the right tools, then you're potentially leaving money on the table, you're leaving engagement on the table, and you're leaving development on the table. And so
absolutely.
reach out to Kaleitha, get all her contact information, beat down her door, because I'm telling you, this next generation of work is going to need leaders who know how to use their tools in their toolbox.
Absolutely.
That's just what it is. And so, Kaleitha, I just want to thank you for all your time. Y'all, this is tip of the iceberg. When I tell you she's an amazing coach, y'all better reach out to her because today's price will not be tomorrow's price. So all right. So, Kaleitha, any last words for the people before we get off of here?
Yeah, just contact me. I have some resources for you. There's some other work that can be done. I'm here for you. I'm here to help you use what you do best to get what you most want. Grow, develop, and transform. That's what it's all about.
I love it. Well, thank you again so much for giving me this little snippet of time in your calendar. But y'all reach out to Kaleitha. And of course, if you're a speaker, trainer, coach out there, a practitioner, that's what I'm looking for, not people that
Yeah,
just pontificate. And so we can have these conversations so that people know where to be resourced and know where to find you. And so until next time, be well, be kind, and lead with humility, openness, and transparency. See y'all
right.
later.